His super PAC Next Gen Climate has spent a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars, inserting the issue of climate change into the last few election cycles. Used a pickup truck full of fake oil barrels to taunt Scott Brown during his bid for Senate in New Hampshire. Built an ark to mock Governor Rick Scott's climate change policies in Florida. That has earned him enemies on the right. But California billionaire, former hedge fund manager Tom Steyer remains undeterred. I got the opportunity to sit down with him last week to discuss his activism and the evolution of climate change politics.
I don't think it's unusual for a generation of Americans to be faced with one overwhelming issue. That was true of my parents' generation. It was true of my grandparents' generation. And I strongly believe that the issue that will prove whether or not our generation succeeds or fails is going to be how we react to climate. And I see that as an issue which is actually a human issue. It is exactly right in line with the way that Pope Francis articulates it in terms of its impact on people, it's our ability to take care of each other and take care of the planet that we hand on to our kids.
When did you come, when did you come to that realization, right? I mean, like, there's people are fired by different things, whether it's politically or ideologically, and people that have resources find themselves drawn to this or that nonprofit or charities for all sorts of different reasons. Like, what was it? What was the moment where was it reading something? Was it just an accumulation of messages where you thought, this is it? This is...
Well, I think somewhere around 2002, 2004, I really started, I'd been an investor. I'd started a business. I'd run it for 25 years. I love investing. We'd done, I thought, a good job. I worked with people who I respected and loved, and it's a process that I enjoy. And really somewhere around 2002, 2004, when I was working for John Kerry for president, but just in my spare time, I started to think more broadly and to see that there was a huge part of life that I felt I was missing. And as I started to think beyond the financial world, I started to see that there was one issue that I thought would define our success. And it became something where I got more involved and I tried to fund research that technology could solve it. And I went down a path of different ways of trying to handle it and just got more and more drawn and more convinced that there wasn't enough emphasis being put on it, that people hadn't realized the urgency of it. And that in fact, that was an opportunity for a whole bunch of people, including myself, to make a contribution to American society. And I felt like, I'm married, I've got 4 kids. This is a great opportunity for me to do something who's been so lucky, I live in California. I have such a nice life. I've been given so much by my family and by the society I was born into, that this is a chance for me to sort of square the ledger and do something that I could be really proud of and say to my kids and to the people that I live with, look, I'm trying to make it better for everybody, and I've had it very lucky, and now I feel good about trying to help everybody else.
So you have... You've been active in a variety of ways, and one of the ways you've been active is in politics.
Yes.
How is it going? I mean, are the Tom Steyers of the world winning? Are they losing? Is it a tie? I'm asking.
Well, I'll give you the good news. We look at it in a couple ways, but the question you're asking me is, how are we doing with the American people? And I think the American people have made a huge move. I quit my job to do this full time. Yep. So I decided to do this with all my effort and time at the end of 2012. So I've been doing this for almost 3 years. And over that time, the American people have made a huge move. If you look at any kind of poll about how they feel about this, about 2/3 of Americans at least, depending on how you ask the question, believe with us the climate is changing, that human beings are causing it, and that we need to address it as a society. So there's been a huge move. At this point, we've asked people running for office to at least be able to explain how our society can be 50% clean energy by 2030. But if you can't meet that standard, you're not really serious about addressing this problem. And if you look at the polling on that, over half of Republicans agree with us on that.
But the problem, okay, so I would agree with you as someone who sort of covers this, right? I do think that public opinion's moved. I think you see denialism waning in some ways. I mean, it's politically, it's almost embarrassing. What you see they've pivoted from the science is a hoax or some bizarre international conspiracy to, yeah, but can we really do anything? And China, but that's a move, right? From one
huge
to the
move.
other. Yeah.
Look, if you look at it, the people who are on the other side of this have moved from it's not true to I don't know whether it's true to it's true, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's too expensive and it's a global problem and we're one country. That's what we heard in the Republican debate.
But that is still excuses for non-action and a political system that doesn't seem particularly well equipped to deal with the problem at the same time that the problem is getting bad and worse every day.
But there's really good news, too. Part of the good news is that the American people have moved.
Right.
And listening to Pope Francis is something that I think is going to be critical in terms of every American taking this seriously. When someone with his seriousness and, absolute goodness talks about it, I think it's very hard not to think about this really hard. But I think the other thing that's true that people don't seem to understand is the technology's moved.
Yeah.
We've seen the price of renewable energy come down 80%, and it's not going to stop. Look, the thing that we know about technology is every year American engineers and scientists and business people reduce the costs of producing things. Think about the cell phone, how big it was, how expensive it was, how small it's gotten, how cheap it's gotten. Think about TVs, how big TVs used to be and how expensive they used to be and how the cost comes down on all these things. So the fact of the matter is we're at a technological place where we're talking all the time about solutions. They're here, they're possible. There is absolutely no reason to think we can't do this. I think the right way to think about this as an American is this is our chance, everybody's chance as a generation, as a country, to decide to tackle this, to solve it, to put together the American know-how, American research, American business, solve it and be proud of ourselves and lead the world. That's what we do.